Hey, welcome to Integrated Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. I'm sitting here drinking a cup of coffee, waiting for my crew to get here to go out and put up some Christmas lights. We've got about two more houses, about 2 more days to work on this before we call it a season. So I'm waiting for them to show up, and we'll sit around and talk for a little bit and drink some coffee before we go out and do it. It's kind of a team building type of thing. The time that you spend with your team uh, as friends, as individuals, dealing with the personal side of your relationship is really what builds the unity of a team. So we don't shortchange that anyway. I wanted to take a few minutes and talk about a a subject that I think is very important. That's fear and the overcoming of it, the importance of the overcoming of it. Many years ago, as back in the 90s, the late 90s, I wrote a column for Grandmaster Magazine. Some of you may know that I used to publish Grandmaster Magazine. It was a martial arts magazine. It wasn't one of the slick magazines like Black Belt and those others. Some of those magazines, and I know the guys that put those out, and I'm not slamming them personally, but nobody who was serious took those magazines seriously. Some of the guys used to say it was written for 12-year-old yellow belts, and others would say it was written by 12-year-old yellow belts. Just being honest, kind of like some of the gun magazines that are out there. But my magazine was different. I wrote it for the serious butt kickers out there, the people who would appreciate, who understood the content of it, and really went to the core of the purpose of martial arts, the um, the real personal combat aspects. And many people hated it. Many of the schools would not allow it in their schools because I called out. I pretty much told the truth what I thought about these what I call pajama dancers, and they didn't like it. And since that was the majority of them, they didn't like it in their schools. But the magazine did have a wide distribution among the serious butt kickers in the country, and not just here, but up in Canada and Australia and Europe and all that. I know that it went to, well, I won't get any farther into that, but the guys who had the background to know enjoyed it. And I wrote an article in there about fear. I don't remember exactly what I titled the article, but but I talked about um, the fact that I was never impressed with people who had no fear, um, because it is the overcoming of fear that's important. It is only through the overcoming of fear that you find courage. And so, really, without fear, there is no courage. There's just if a person's not worried about doing something, um, then there's nothing to it for them. Um, and there was somebody else that wrote a whole book on it. I don't remember his name. It's a very famous book, and I never read the book, but but people say that it was a good one. I'm a minimalist. My whole book on winning the war on fat was 20 pages long, and that's all you need to know about it. But so when I write about fear, it was just a column. It's about all you need to know, um, and that applies in so many things in life, and certainly in preparedness, in being ready for situations, and being ready for daily threats, or maybe what's coming down the road for us as a country here. It's hard to know. I made the statement to someone the other day on my crew that fear is a waste of time, and that kind of encapsulates where I'm going to go with this. Um, and they said, well, they're gonna steal that because it certainly is. Um, and so I want to tell a story about my fear. and because I understand fear, and then we're going to get back to that fear is a waste of time principle. Um, when I wrote that article back for Grandmaster back in 1990, whatever, I didn't think I was afraid of anything. I thought that I had addressed and overcome all my fears. And it's just a matter. I'm not banging my chest over that. It's just the more things that you're exposed to, and the more times you do them, you become comfortable in an environment that used to, make you very nervous, and that most people would be afraid to do. And it's just a matter of doing it and doing it and doing it, and then it becomes normal, and then it's just your normal environment, and then there's no courage there. The courage was in the overcoming of it. Like what was it? Is it John Wayne that's attributed to say that courage is being scared to death and saddling up anyway? Well, that's exactly right. It's I go for that 100%. Well, I for those of you, so I'll tell this story all myself. Um, for those of you who Oh, maybe I'll back up because this is kind of funny too. I used to have people come into my gym and want to take martial arts, and one of my questions, because I just didn't take anybody who came in, one of my questions was, why do you want to take that? And I would get a lot of answers, and many of them would say, well, want to become a better person. I want to learn the secrets of life. I want to learn this. I want to see in a bit. I want to blah blah blah, and I would tell them that. You can probably find the secrets of life doing anything, building a rock wall or whatever. And I suppose you can find it in the martial arts, but the real reason for studying martial arts is to learn how to fight. And so when I started hanging Christmas lights, I have thought about writing a book kind of based off, you remember that one, Everything I Ever Needed to Know I Learned in Kindergarten? Well, I've thought about writing one, Everything I Ever Needed to Know I Learned Hanging Christmas Lights, because as we go through the process of this, I'm always coming up with, yeah, that's a rule of life, and one of those is that fear is a waste of time. So that was a circuitous way for me to kind of, explain that part of it. Hope you're still with me. So I'm going to tell a story on myself. Um, as you know, I live in a neighborhood where everybody decorates for Christmas. And that's what got me started on my Christmas light business to begin with. Because I moved into the neighborhood, everybody paid somebody else to put up their Christmas lights. I did the same thing. Never occurred to me to really, the first year we were here, I think we put lights on the bushes, and I just waited for the rest of the neighbors to show up with torches and pitchforks and tell us to move out. But the next year, I paid somebody to put lights up, and I paid him, every year. And he kept raising the price on me, and he wasn't doing a better job. And I wanted more lights on my house, and that was just going to cost me a lot. So I thought, okay, well, I can put lights up. Well, I got this little ladder that I had, and I hadn't been on a ladder. I hadn't been in a job where I climbed things, up high for a long time, since I was a kid. And I got about 4 steps up on that ladder, and I froze. I got little alligator arms and legs, and I couldn't go any higher. All of a sudden, it just slammed me, and that was it. And I couldn't believe it. I hit a fear wall that I didn't know I had. And so I came back down, and I remember the first year we were going to hang a couple of plastic gold bells over our door, and um, something or other, a wreath over the garage, and I just could barely do it, and I was amazed, I was shocked at what I found, and I was ashamed, I guess. Somewhere in between embarrassed and ashamed, and so I thought, well, I kept on paying this guy. And didn't think anything more about it, just thought, well, okay, I'm not going to do it. Well, the time came that my house needed to be painted. And when I got a couple of bids, and when I found out what they wanted to charge to paint my house, I tell people that I was more afraid of writing that check than I was, or I thought I was, of heights. I said, well, for that amount, certainly I can get over my fear of heights. Um, big talk when you're sitting on the ground, right? So I got my little ladder again and got the paint and went out there and started painting my house with it. And well, I got a good sized house. And so I started painting it with a roller and a brush. And I mean, I didn't know anything about spraying or anything like that. I was going to do everything. I was going to do every square inch, with a roller and a brush because I wanted to make sure that it got on well. And I'd heard, these companies that say we still brush the first coat. And anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I'd get up and I'd get about four rungs up on that ladder, and that was it for me. I mean, I'd be up there with my bucket in one hand and my roller or whatever in the other hand, and I'd be up like this. And it was all I could do to get up about 4 runs. And so I painted all the way around my house, about 8 feet up. And man, I said, I don't know how I'm going to get the rest. I've got one peak on my house that's like 36 feet. And I don't know how I'm going to do that. But I had 3 young kids at the time. They're still young. They're 14, 10, and 9 now. And I think back then, I just had the one, but I knew that more were coming. And I thought, well, I don't want them to think Dad is scared of anything. I better get over this. This is ridiculous. You're a grown man. You've done a lot of things in life. And this is ridiculous that you can't get up on a ladder. Because I'd see people all over the place. Every Christmas season, I'd see these guys up and down their ladders and guys painting houses. They were doing fine. They weren't falling off their ladders. Their ladders weren't slipping out and shooting out. And so I would watch them. I would stay behind I would look out through the drapes and I'd watch those guys on their ladders and I'd watch them. I said, okay, now how are they doing that? How are they doing that? They're okay, but somehow, fear is, well, it's not always irrational, but sometimes there is an irrational aspect to it. And so I'm thinking, well, they're fine on their ladders. Look at those guys. And but my fear told me, but somehow that ladder would fall, blow away, shoot up, whatever, if I was up there on it, right? You know how fear is. And so anyway, I just kept plugging at it. And so I raised that ladder a rung or two, and I'd paint another couple of feet around my house. And then I'd make myself, it wasn't easy, but I'd make myself go up a couple more feet. And I'd paint around. And then I had to get a bigger ladder. And at my house, it took me all summer long to paint my house. At my house, I tell people, looked like it was filling up with paint slowly, very slowly, all summer long. Until finally I got to that 36-foot peak that I had to rent a 40-foot ladder to get to. I was still scared to death. And I mean, I'd be up there hanging on with a pinky and my little brush here going, and I was still scared to death. I was never so happy in my life as to be done with painting this house. And we got to do it again this year. But by the end of that, of course, being up on a 36-foot peak, going up 20 feet wasn't much, right? Because what's happening is you're becoming used to the environment. Well, I think that then I learned, well, if I can do that, I can put up my own Christmas lights, and I wanted to put up more Christmas lights, and I didn't want to pay him a lot more. So I did it. And I think the second year that I did it, because like I said, we live in one of those neighborhoods where, everybody does it. And there's an award that goes along with the best house. It's called the Crystal Christmas Tree Award. And you get a little sign stuck in your yard and you get this crystal thing, and the neighbors just, whoever wins it one year then gets to decide who to give it to the next year, and there's rules. You can't give it back to the person that gave it and all that. We happen to get it again this year, and now we got to go give it to somebody else. But anyway, that finally, one of the second year maybe that I did my lights, they gave me that award. Probably an attaboy award. I don't think that my house was the best, but it was probably because those people felt so sorry for me out there. Gosh, look, it took him so long. It took him a week to do his house. Uh, so anyway, the house looked good, and we had a progressive dinner at Christmas time amongst our neighborhood. So you got appetizers at one house, then you go to somebody else's house for dinner, and then you go to somebody else's house for dessert. And we were at dinner, and somebody complimented my house, and Kelly said, "Yeah, he had so much fun doing that. He said he might do other people's houses." And I think I've told this story before, but I think I may have said that, but I think I was kidding. And immediately, two of the neighbors spoke up and said, "Well, I'll have you do my house," and I didn't know if they were kidding or not. So I said, "Well, sure, okay." And so I thought, well, gee, that'd be a nice little side business. All my life, I've always been looking for something fun, something new, some side gig to do. I would rather do 10 fun things, each kind of a side gig, and make a good living than I would, selling myself to the corporate and having to live by their rules. I don't like rules. I don't like even my own rules. I had a friend of mine tell me, a psychologist, he says, "You resent authority even when you represent it." And that's true. But anyway, so I was always looking for a little side gig, and I thought, well, if these people actually would pay me to do their houses, and I thought about, what it pays pretty good. I said maybe I could build a small business about this. So I ordered a few signs, and when the next Christmas came around, I still wasn't sure if my neighbors really wanted me to do their houses. And I ordered a few signs. I stuck them out around town, and the neighbors then called me and said, "You still going to do my house?" And I said, "Well, I guess I am. Okay, I will." Well, I stuck my signs around, and the next day, all of my signs were gone. And I figured it out. It was another Christmas light company that had taken them. But for whatever reason, enough people had written down the number the one day that they were out there that I started getting calls to do Christmas lights. And I know this is about fear. I'm getting back to fear in a minute. And enough people called. I think I had like 27 houses to do that first year. Now, I didn't have anybody helping me. And I was still scared to death of heights. And I just kind of, got suckered into this. And of course, I didn't want to say no. I said, okay. I didn't have a clue as to what I was doing. Not a clue. Compared to today, it's unbelievable that I was able to keep the business that I got. And I have. I've kept almost all of those original customers as I've added through the years. But so I went out that first year, and it just about killed me. That winter was cold. It was snowy. The heat on my truck had gone out, and I'll be honest, I didn't have time to put the truck in the shop to get it fixed, which is why I didn't get it fixed. That whole time, for 2 months I was out there, and it would take me 3 days to do a house. The reason that it would take me 3 days to do a house was not just because I was stupid. It was because I was so afraid. I would set up my ladder, and I'd look up at that big 32-foot ladder, and around here, a lot of the ones that I got, had tall peaks, and the tall peaks were right over the driveway, which scares you to death more than if it was over some nice soft thorn bushes, right? And I'd set that ladder up, and I'd look at it, and the first thing was I was still so ignorant that I'd carry the line up and I'd carry a bunch of clips in my pocket, and I'd go up and I'd put one clip on and then I'd stick it in, and then I'd go up and I'd stick a clip on. I'd put and of course now we clip everything on the ground and go up there and we just go boom, 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 we're done, And but not now. A house that now I'm doing 2 hours, it would take me 2 days back then because I would get done. I would work on it for hours, cold, couldn't feel my fingers. Scared to death, just sure that ladder was going to shoot out at me at any moment, and I'd be out there till dark and have to go back the next day to finish it, and thinking about it all night long. Oh my God, I got to do, and I've got one of the reasons that I was worried. I mean, I had a little kid. I didn't want to die. I'm thinking about. You're up there. What if the ladder slips? What if I die? What if I don't die? What if I'm a vegetable for the rest of my life? Kelly has to take care of a vegetable. All the different things that can happen. All these things that fear puts in your head. Well, it just took me forever. But as I did, I think 2 years by myself, and then Mark, who you've met, came to work with me, and we got better and better and better. And other people have come to work with me now, and now we get out there. If we wanted to, we could do, 4 or 5 houses a day. We don't usually, and we do a couple a day because we like to enjoy ourselves, and we get out joking around and laughing, and we just enjoy it. We love being up on the ladders. And I'd rather be on a ladder now than almost on the ground. It's just fun. When you're it's like being a little kid again. You get up there, you're climbing around the roofs, nobody's telling you what to do. You're out in the air. You're throwing around those ladders, going up and down them hundreds of times a day. I've lost 30 pounds this year. I always do, and I'm going to keep it off this time. Everybody, it's great exercise. Anyway, that's a little off. The whole point of this is that the fear is what kept me from being able to get the job done. I'm no safer now than I was then. Okay, it's just that I've gotten used to it. I got used to the environment. I got used to the process. And so now, back then, there was still only a couple hours worth of work. It just took me 2 days because of my fear. My fear was slowing me down. Is my ladder set right? Well, it either is or it isn't. And you can look at it and see that it is. And then stop. Hey guys, how you doing? I'm making a video about how afraid I was, how scared I was. That's all right. I'm still rolling here. How scared I was the first few years doing lights and how much fun it is now. Come ahead.
Now he jumps ladders and climbs across roofs.
Go ahead and have a seat. I'm glad you got your breakfast burritos.
This is for you. Would you like me to warm
This
up?
is for me? Yeah.
Okay.
Would you? Thank you.
Yep.
Oh man, what a crew. See, this is that's Mark and Hallie that came in behind you there. So the reason that it took me 2 days, I forget where I left off. Forgive me if I'm repeating this. Yeah. There was only two hours of work done, but it took me two days because of my fear. Like I said, is my ladder set right? Well, it either is or isn't. You can look at it and tell that it is or it isn't. But your fear makes you double check. And I'd get halfway up and I go, I don't know. Maybe I could set this better. Maybe I could set this better. And it steals your life. Fear steals your time. It steals your life. And the only decision, what I was telling somebody out there the other day was, you only have one decision to make about, doing something. You're either going to do it or you're not going to do it. Was it Yoda that said, do or do not, there is no try? I've never seen any of the Star Wars movies. Or is that Star Wars or is that Star Trek? I don't even know. I'm not into those movies. But I like that quote. That's the truth. The do or do not. There is no try. Your one decision is, are you going to do it or are you not going to do it? And if you are going to do it, if you have to do it, if it's important to do it, then do it. And I know that it's difficult to say, well, just do it, And the world is full. I love people. We've had so many people that will say, well, and isn't this true about so many other things? Well, the secret is just don't look down. And I've given some of those people the opportunity to go up and see how far up a ladder they can get. And you know what? They don't get far. Oh, but there was big talk on the ground, right? Oh, well, you know what the thing to do is just don't look down. Well, hell, I tell people when you go up there, get up there, look down, look all around when they're still scared, right? Go up a ladder, look down, see where you are in the world, see your place in the environment, look around. Don't come down real fast. Look at the birds, look at the trees, look around and get used to that environment. And that's what does away with fear. It's becoming comfortable in an environment. I've said in my training, when I train people of different kinds of things, I say if you can be comfortable, and I even say thrive, in an environment in which other people are uncomfortable and fearful, well, you are way ahead of the game. So anyway, that was a bunch of long stories. Maybe you got a kick out of that. You would have got a kick out of watching me up there shaking. But that's a long story just explaining that fear is a time stealer. It is a waste of time, and it is a waste of your life. Do it, overcome it, whatever it is. Don't get crazy. I mean, I don't have any respect for people who just tempt death, because that's a problem. Do it safely, do what you need to do, and do it. And then do it again, and do it again, and do it again, and again, and again, and again. And pretty soon, you do it enough, you're going to be comfortable. You're not going to be fearful, and you are going to make a lot better use of your time. You're going to get more stuff done, and you're going to get it done better. So anyway, I think this is one of the most important things I teach my kids, and I try to teach everybody, is get over those fears. Identify your fears. If you don't think you have any fears, then maybe you don't. Maybe you've overcome all of your fears, or maybe you've only overcome the ones that apply to your current life, and that's okay, because at least you're not fearful on a daily basis. But I thought that I had overcome all my fears too, until I had to climb a ladder. So, look out there. Is there a ladder in your life that needs to be conquered? Is there a fear in your life that needs to be overcome? And by doing so, you will simplify your life and expand your opportunities so much. And it'll be a fun thing to do. So anyway, I hope that that's helped a little bit. Maybe some people out there it's helped. We're going to get out there and jump around on these ladders. We've only got 2 more days, I think, a couple more houses to do. And we're going to have fun doing it. And I'm sorry to see this season end, because I'd love to keep doing it. But I'll leave it at that. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And one of the best preparations you can make is to identify and overcome fears, because those are impediments to some of the things you need to get done. So you all have a great day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.